Hello, my name is Brand Hunt, and today again is the 28th day of December 2020. And what I wanted to do to follow up what I shared a little while ago, how you could be more independent and not dependent upon the government or some other group that can keep you, that is in a sticky situation. And so, what I've done in the past and like to share with others is to to understand that it's critical that you be able to have clean water and that you have food and that you have a way to keep yourself warm and also a way to cook food, not just for yourself. That's a possibility, but also for others in your family. And so I wanted to share some screens with you, and I'm going to do that right now. Um, this particular company is called Berkey Filters. It's based upon what they call a gravitation way of actually filtering water. And how does that work? Well, it works based upon having a stainless steel um, container that allows you to have filters at the top and also filters in the bottom. The filters at the top are going to deal with probably 95% or not, if not more, of the water that's dirty. How do you do this? Well, you can collect rainwater off your roof and have a container that is actually food grade. That is a blue color, not a dark blue, but a medium blue color barrels that are made of plastic that actually do not cause harm to the water. That is, it doesn't get into the water per se. So, but anyway, back to the Berkey filters here. This is just one company. I've had this filtering system for, I guess, 10 or 15 years. And what I do is simply put water in it. And usually I guess it handles 2 or 3 gallons, maybe a little bit more, depending on what size your family is, that you may have a bigger one or not. Right now, I think they're having a sale, and it would be conducive if you would look into this. I think what I have is what they call a Big Berkey, which is their most popular 2.25 gallons here. But they make them all the way up to 6 gallons. And you can see the prices on them here. And also, I'm not too crazy about the plastic one here, what they call a Berkey Light. But the Big Berkey, all these filtering systems have in here what I call the top part is what they call black filters, which actually can be reused. That is, they can be cleaned up. That is with a 3M product to scrape them, but actually allows it to become smaller. That is the filter, the black part. It's not going to bother you. They use these filters over and over. You can have 2 or 4 filters at the top, or you can have, and also if you have that many at the top, if you have 4 filters at the top, you'll have 4 filters in the bottom. And the 4 filters in the bottom are for those who live in the city. And that would be to deal with what we call, oh God, I can't think of it right now. All of a sudden, it's dropped my mind. To do with what we call water that's actually it's not good for you. I can't think of the name of the word I'm trying to think of. And it's they're a different type of filter. It's to deal with fluoride. Sorry, my mind didn't work right. Fluoride is what you're looking at. If you don't live in the country, some of the European countries, I think, do not put fluoride in the water. Unfortunately, here in America, they do put fluoride into water, and it's a poison. So what you need to do simply is have a filters there on the bottom. The key is simply with the fluoride filters, you do have to replace those. I don't remember how much gallons you can use, but eventually you'll have to throw those out and get new ones. But it's to your advantage to do this, to have clean water. And they actually have what they call also for what I call a travel Berkey, which is a smaller one you carry with you, or you can have what they call a bottle also here. It's not that terribly expensive when you think about it, especially if you want clean water. Another thing to look at too, if you want to grow what I call heirloom seeds. What I mean by this is simply it's not a seed that dies each year. It actually can be used every other year, such and such. So it's a heirloom seed. It's natural, and this is a company I've dealt with here and bought seeds from. It's called Seed Savers, the name of the company. And they have many types of seeds that you can buy, vegetables, herbs, and they also have flowers, if those who enjoy having flowers around their house. And this allows the opportunity, again, to be self-sufficient. As I scroll down here, you can see different items here. Some of these items actually are, like the carrots here, actually are what I call purple here, which is something that many people wouldn't believe, but it is true. They are orange inside, but they are purple. Some of these are heirloom seeds that have been older seeds that have been passed down from families within families over and over. And then also you may want to look into what I call, let's see if I can pull this one up here, which is both these companies, these seed companies that are both seeds, I bought from both these companies. Okay. That's the reason why I'm sharing this information. And so the other company here is a company called Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. And this is their website. This is a time to buy. This is right at the time to buy before spring, which is starting. And this is a time to buy. I also recommend that you buy fruit trees. Highly recommend you get fruit trees, but I would say basically try to find those at a local place instead, so you get what you pay for. You see what you get, that type of thing, instead of ordering online. So that would be a place, a garden and flower shop here, wherever it is in your area that sells those. So that's the advantage of that also. Also, another thing you might want to look into is to look into so these are things, the ways we're looking at how to do things. And so what we'll look at here is stoves, wood stoves. That's what you're looking for, is a wood stove. And this is just a brand here I just brought up simply. This is called United States Stove Company. I have not bought anything from them. I don't know if I can recommend them or not, but you need to be very serious about looking for a stove in your house, a wood stove that basically, again, will allow you to use the wood. That's, if you're in a forest area, you would be able to basically manage your electric bill this way, and you wouldn't be dependent upon electricity all the time. The strategy in a lot of ways simply is to look at not only simply as with a wood stove being in the wintertime, although you could use it in the summertime, although that would be not exactly advantageous, especially if the house is already warm. So you would probably use something such as propane, and like you do if you cook out, what I call is you used to go camping, that would be an advantage to you also to have some type of propane system. And also simply if you again, these are things you can do or buy. You can probably, some of these things you can buy secondhand. The other thing maybe you can look at too, the wood stoves can be something serious. You're gonna have to know what you're doing. You're gonna have to know what type of wood stove you're looking for, to make sure that someone can install it correctly in your house. Yes, you can do it. I did not do it because I'm not an expertise at that, so I had someone do it. But you're talking with a wood stove to basically heat probably 1,500 square feet or a little bit more, up to 1,800 square feet, you're talking about $4,500 to $5,000 to do that being put in your house. That is, and then that doesn't include the wood. So you either can cut your wood down in your own area, or you'll have to buy it from someone. But these are all strategies. The other thing simply is a last minute type of thing, is to also, you can have what I call some type of generator that basically can be to your advantage. That is, you can have it as emergency power, such and such. So you can have it for either for using as a regular stove, electric stove. One of the other things I would say simply is, if you have water, you need to find what I call these blue water drums that are 55-gallon containers to be effective. That is, you need to have these to collect rainwater, and you need to have a way of pumping that water out so you can use it. You always can use what I call, when things get dire, you can always use water from a toilet, that is the top part, and use it in a Berkey filter. You also can use what I call water in a tub and use it through a filtering system. Again, these are just some things to suggest to you to be less dependent upon the government, because if you're dependent upon the government, you're going to be in a sad shape. The other thing simply is to buy food. Food is far more advantaged than other things. There are other things you can buy and use. You can use, you can buy silver and gold also, with the way the dollar's fluctuating and losing value, to your advantage. Junk silver, which is just basically older coins that had gold, or mainly silver, I should say. Junk silver is junk silver. I'm sorry. It's silver that is actually in quarters, dimes, and nickels, and even in half dollars in the past. But many people are buying that, and so the price may be far more than you would want to pay for it. Although the price has dropped down tremendously when gold was over $2,000 roughly about 4 or 5 months ago. It's now dropped back to, I think, about $1,800 for an ounce. I would suggest another strategy simply is, don't buy the ounces. Buy in a half ounce or a quarter ounce of gold. Always be able to look at things so that you can get it to the lowest common denominator. Meaning simply is that you can trade it. Okay. You may have to trade it for a vehicle or whatever it is you might need, that you're in serious situations such and such, that gold can help out. The main thing simply is to have food, more than anything else. We know that simply is that all kinds of things are happening here in this country. And one of the things I've noticed, and I haven't even talked about this, is how many train accidents that have taken place in the last year. It's been tremendously, I look on the internet, YouTube, and I watch accidents that happen at the railroads. And people say, well, the railroads are not that important. No, the railroads are very important. They move things around very quickly. And you have 5 major railroads here in the United States. Both are actually 2 out west, which is the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. You also have the Union Pacific out west, and it basically moves all the way to basically the Mississippi River. And then you have a strategic line that goes north and south. These line would be simply is the railroad is called the Kansas City Southern. It goes all the way from southern Texas. Actually, I think it goes into Mexico and comes all the way up to Chicago area again. And then you have what I call the 2 major eastern railroads, which are the Norfolk and Southern Railroad and the CSX Railroad. Those are the 2 major players. All those railroads are what I would call major railroads. There are small railroads, yes, but the major ones are the ones that move items from the west to the east and to the middle part of the country, and then the eastern railroads, such and such. And then the eastern railroads a lot of times move merchandise along the eastern coast or in the southern part of the country. But there have been tremendously amount of train accidents that have happened in the last year that in a lot of ways simply is that most people don't know it's happening. And there are some that have happened here close nearby where I live at. And what happens with that, I don't know if this is poor neglect, that is neglect by the railroads to keep their infrastructure up, or is it some type of sabotage is taking place and no one's talking about it, or not one's talking about it, but most people are not even aware of it. So this is something you need to be aware of. We know that simply is the truckers or all that, they depend upon interstate highways mainly, or federal highways, which are usually 2-lane, some are 4-lane, but most move their merchandise again across interstate highways per se. So these are some of the things you need to know. You need to have a shortwave radio. You need to be able to hear ham radio operators. You need to know what's happening, such and such. You need to have a way of actually, if you wanted to communicate with them, you need to not just have a shortwave radio, but you need to have a receiver, meaning a transmitter that is within the receiver transmitting out to others. You can do that. The problem simply is that you have to have a ham license to do that. And I'm not very fond of actually having a license. I don't think that's what I want, but there are ways to get around that. You can also simply just listen to it with others, such and such. Try to find out information with ham radio, amateur radio clubs that are actually located here in the United States, and be able to begin to teach yourself in a small way how things work. Upper sideband, lower sideband, all these type of things. I've shared some of these things before, but I think simply is that people need to be aware of that. The other thing simply I'd like to speak to is to young people. Many young people are still going to college. And my thinking simply is this: college is not going to do you any good. There are going to be fewer and fewer jobs at the higher parts. That is either doctors or dentists or something of that nature. Yes, they're going to be needed. Yes. But there's the whole item is simply is it's not going to be the growth that has happened in the past. So the strategy simply is that you need to get a trade. You need to learn how to do things. You know, learn how to fix a car. You need to learn how to repair something at your home. In other words, can you do the electrical work in your house, or be able to fix something in the house with your electrical? Can you fix your air conditioner, you see, or the heater, such and such, or a water heater, you see? And then can you grow a garden? You see, you got to have soil, the right kind of soil. Are you patient enough to do those things? And then you're going to learn how to store those things. I'm hoping that I'll have someone on in the near future that will talk to me about that and share that with you guys about how to store foods. The other thing I was talking about, the emergency generator, simply is if the power goes out, a lot of times simply is you can prevent loss of the refrigerator or freezer keeps the food actually frozen to your advantage. The detrimental part simply is that you may be the only one on the street that has a generator. So you may have a problem there. But anyway, the point simply is, and also simply is, you need to be able to defend yourself. You just need to have something to defend yourself. Those who may want to steal from you, and you'll have if things get really, really bad here in this country, you need to be able to protect yourself. But back to the young people, simply is it is to your advantage simply is to get a trade. You need to learn how to that. At working at Home Depot or these places, you can learn some things about plumbing. You can learn things about how heater, and you can actually ask to be an apprentice. Some people will take young people in, and if you're willing to learn, they may only pay you minimum wage or whatever, but you can learn a great deal from another person. And if you're beneficial to that gentleman or whoever has a 1-man or 2-man operation, you can learn incredibly a lot in that process, because you're one-on-one with someone who's teaching you and has been in business for a while, that knows how to do things such and such. So these are key things. You just want to be independent. You don't want to be dependent upon others. So these are just some of the things I could give you some strategy and to heads up on this regard. Again, the key is simply is that more and more anything is, this is not a physical fight, folks. This is a spiritual war that's taking place across the world. This is a worldwide war per se. It doesn't look like a war, but it's a war to destroy your soul. And that's what the whole thing is about. And so you're going to have to understand simply is one key thing. You need to love one another. You need to love one another to not only in your family, but you're going to have to be able to judge people and be able to know who's a good person and who's not, and being able to discern what their energy's like, what type of person they are, so you can trust them. That's something that's key in a lot of ways. But you're going to have to learn how to. Some ways you may have to trust people, okay? And part of that simply is to barter with one another. And you just live and learn. Bartering simply is simply you work between each other, and you come up with a common way. Both sides are satisfied. They may offer something such and such, say, no, I can't afford that, but I'll do this, or this is what I can pay you. And usually someone will barter with you with that and say, well, okay, I'll do this, such and such. Or you may barter simply as I can work on your car and in order to get food, you see, or whatever, you see. So this is the way it's going to work. It's going to be what I call a black market in a lot of ways also, this strategy. The problem is we don't live in the times that my grandparents lived. My grandparents lived in a different time period when people would come to my grandfather and grandmother and say they would work for food. That's how important this is. See, food is the priority. You can't eat money, you see, but you can eat food. And, you need water and food. Those are the primary two things, and be able also to protect yourself from the elements. So you need to be wise in that regard too. Okay. So those are, the major things there. The primary three are the food, water, and shelter. And that I just remember that my grandparents told me that, and there was never any problem with what I call stealing. No, there was no such thing as stealing back then. Very little of that took place. There was a respect for man and people, and people were willing to work. That is to earn the food. You see, most today are a lot of people. I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people simply just want the money. They don't really see that. And that's the really key thing, is that money's not going to be worth much in the future, especially paper money. So you're going to have to see that also, realize that this is it's just because I care about people. I want people to be aware of these things. No, it's not about fear. This is not about fear. It never hurts to be able to be independent. Never hurts to do that. It's to your benefit to be that way, you see. And I'm sure the powers that be are simply as they eventually don't want you to have cars. So you're going to, and again, that's something you're going to have to look at also. Am I going to be able to move? How am I going to do this, that type of thing? And you're going to find out who your friends are and who are not your friends, you see, and who you can trust and who you can't trust. And that's all about a learning aspect, such and such. But again, this is a spiritual war. This is not a physical war per se. It's about people do ugly things when things get desperate. They will do ugly things, especially the day we live in. It's a completely different, because people don't have morals. They don't love themselves, so they don't love other people, you see. And they've been taught by what I call television to be an example, which is actually a poor example of how people get along. So again, if there's any questions here, you're welcome to ask, or ask when I put it on YouTube or Facebook. You're welcome to ask questions. Again, I've been around the park a few times. I made mistakes. Yes, I made plenty of mistakes in many areas of my life. I can't say that but the only way I understand simply is when you make mistakes, you tend to learn something from those mistakes. That's the whole idea. As long as you're not intentionally trying to hurt someone. So this again is pertinent for you to understand simply is this is from my heart, and I care about people. I wouldn't be out here doing this unless I cared about people. I have knowledge that a lot of people may have, but are not willing to share, or they are scared to share. And I'm not. I'm not scared to share. I know who I am, and so I'm here at this time to help others. So I appreciate your attention, and you have a good evening. You take care and be take care. Thank you.